something is happening in the streets right now. Something big. And the moment this footage dropped, the entire hip-hop world went into shock. Because Jim Jones wasn't just seen with any random figure. He was seen locking in with J. Prince, a man whose name carries more weight in the industry than half the rappers combined. A man who moves in silence, but makes noise without ever speaking. A man whose reputation alone can shift the energy of an entire situation. And before anyone could even breathe, 50 Cent responded, not with jokes, not with memes, not with his usual trolling energy, but with something that felt like a warning, a subtle shot. A message only real ones could decode, because this isn't just a link-up. This isn't a friendly handshake. This is a strategic move, and every OG watching instantly felt the tension. They started saying this could end badly. Jim stepping into deep waters. 50 not gonna let this slide. And the thing is, they might be right. This isn't just industry drama. This is a triangle of influence between three powerful forces who have history, respect, and unresolved energy that goes back years. Tonight, we're diving into what really happened behind this link-up. Why Jim's move is raising eyebrows. And why 50 Cent reacted the way he did? Trust me, this story is bigger than you think. Let's get into it. The situation began quietly, almost too quietly, long before social media even realized something was cooking. People close to the scene had whispered that Jim Jones had been moving differently in the last few weeks, traveling more, taking private meetings, keeping his inner circle unusually small. At first, nobody paid much attention to it. Rappers travel all the time, and Jim Jones is known to be a hustler who stays on the move. But then one moment changed everything. A single clip surfaced online showing Jim Jones in Houston, standing beside a man whose presence alone can shift entire rooms, J. Prince. And it wasn't the usual handshake and smile moment. It wasn't a fan interaction. It wasn't fake industry unity. It was something heavier, something intentional, something that instantly made us insiders and longtime observers sit up straight, because J. Prince is not a casual association. For decades, his name has been wrapped in a level of respect and authority that only a few figures in hip-hop history have commanded. Whenever he steps into a situation, it becomes more than music, more than business, more than friendships. It becomes chess. So when Jim Jones appeared next to him, people didn't just see a link-up. They saw a signal, a shift. A move being made on a board most regular fans don't even know exists. And what made it more intense was the timing. Jim Jones had already been surrounded by tension, drama, and narratives involving big names like 50 Cent, Rick Ross, Uncle Morta, and others. His name had been circulating heavily in hip-hop commentary. So when the footage dropped, people immediately connected dots. Somebody posted the clip with the caption, "This is about to get interesting," and within minutes the comments were flooded. People were asking what this meant. Was Jim joining forces? Was he seeking protection? Was he aligning himself with a powerful Southern kingdom? Or was this all just coincidence? The problem is, in hip-hop, especially at that level, nothing is coincidence. And the OGs knew it the moment they saw it. Old heads who've been around long enough to understand the deeper politics started sending messages privately. They were warning, this isn't light. This isn't a friendly photo. This is energy shifting from Harlem to Houston with roots stretching back decades. Before social media could even process all of this, before commentators could upload videos, one man reacted instantly in the way only he does. 50 Cent. His response didn't come in the form of anger or threats. That's not how 50 plays the game. Instead, it came through a calculated, sarcastic message that carried more meaning than a full paragraph. People who aren't familiar with how 50 moves saw it as a joke, but those who understand the layers knew it was something else. 50 has a long history of responding with humor even when he's dead serious. It's his way of sending a shot without firing a weapon, of signaling that he has seen the move, weighed it, and is preparing his next step. But to understand why this moment triggered such a response, you have to go back. There is a long, complicated web of tension between Jim Jones and 50 Cent that has played out in public and behind the scenes for years. They've taken shots at each other, traded words, hinted at past situations, and built a rivalry based not just on music, but on respect, ego, and the power dynamics of New York hip-hop culture. And in that culture, alliances matter. Who you stand next to matters. Who you publicly align with matters. So, 250, Jim Jones linking with J. Prince wasn't a neutral moment. It was a move being made on a board they both share. What makes all of this even more intense is the fact that 50 Cent himself has had complicated interactions with J. Prince's world. There have been moments of tension, moments of mutual respect, and moments of power positioning. They're not enemies, but they are both men with strong influence, strong reputations, and strong camps behind them. So when Jim Jones suddenly put himself in the middle of that energy, people immediately wondered if he understood the magnitude of what he had done. Some insiders started saying that Jim might be trying to secure alliances for future business moves. Others suggested he might be preparing for some upcoming situations that haven't gone public yet. Remember, Jim has been in headlines nonstop, and not always in the most comfortable ways. The pressure of social media narratives, the accusations thrown by other rappers, and the constant commentary on his name have definitely made things heated. Being next to someone like J. Prince could be seen as a signal that he's tired of being talked about and wants to reposition himself. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, people close to the situation claim that Jim didn't expect this much noise from the footage. He may have assumed it would quietly pass through the timeline like any other celebrity link-up. But anything involving J. Prince never passes quietly. And anything involving Jim Jones while he's in the middle of tensions with 50 Cent is always going to get magnified 100 times. It's the perfect storm. And as the footage kept spreading, people began to notice something else. Jim Jones looked comfortable. He wasn't acting like someone catching a lucky photo op. He looked like someone who had been in communication with J. Prince before this moment. Someone who felt welcomed in that environment. That's what really set the internet on fire. If this was planned, if they were actually building something business, alliance or otherwise, then that could change dynamics. Not for the whole industry, but definitely for certain people who've kept their distance from Rap-A-Lot and its influence. This is why Oz started warning Jim. Not because J. Prince is dangerous in a negative way, but because aligning with powerful figures changes the energy of every relationship around you. It changes how people view you, how people respond to you, how other powerful men perceive your moves. And when 50 Cent reacted the way he did, it confirmed for many that this link-up hit a deeper nerve. It wasn't about music. It wasn't about friendships. It wasn't even about recent beef videos. It was about positioning, power, and respect. Jim Jones, whether intentionally or not, stepped into a space where every move echoes. And for anyone who has been paying attention, this is only the beginning. The streets started buzzing. 'Cause once that photo of Jim Jones and J. Prince hit the internet, it wasn't just fans reacting. Industry insiders, old school legends, behind-the-scenes fixers, and street OGs immediately started decoding the energy behind it. And the truth is, this wasn't just some random meet. This had strategy written all over it. The body language, the timing, the location, the people around them, every detail was a message. A signal, a move that wasn't meant for the casual viewer. It was meant for the ones who understand how power really moves. Jim Jones, for years, has carried a certain reputation. Loud, bold, fearless. A man who's never backed down from smoke, whether it's inside the music industry or outside in the streets. But being linked with someone like J. Prince, that's a different universe, Jay. Prince isn't loud. He isn't messy. He doesn't tweet threats. He doesn't run to live streams. He moves like someone who understands chess when everyone else is still playing checkers. So when an energy like Jim's meets an energy like Prince's, it isn't random, it's intentional. It's intentional. And this is where the tension really began building. because people instantly remembered the history between J. Prince and 50 Cent. The subtle jabs, the disagreements, the moments that never turned into a full conflict, but always hovered like smoke that never quite became fire. 50 Cent respects J. Prince's position, but 50 isn't the type to ever bow or shrink back. He's the kind of man who enters a room ready to dominate it. So now imagine this shift happening. Jim Jones, someone who already has an up and down relationship with 50, suddenly appears next to a man who has previously been at odds with 50. That isn't just a friendly meet. That's a strategic alignment. And the streets understood that immediately. Industry OGs began saying things like, "It's gonna turn political, and this ain't the kind of move you make unless you want to apply pressure on somebody." But the most common sentiment was simple. Why now? 'Cause the timing didn't make sense at first. Unless you know the behind-the-scenes tension that's been brewing for months, Jim? Jones has been frustrated with the constant narrative. 50 Cent keeps pushing about him, whether it's the accusations, the trolling, or the personal shots. 50 always has something to say, and Jim is tired of it. But Jim also knows something every veteran knows. Going at 50 directly can be costly, because 50 isn't just a rapper, it's a strategist. He uses the internet like a weapon. And once he locks onto you, he can drag the drama for months, even years. Jim tried ignoring it, but the pokes kept coming. So instead of clapping back online, Jim did something smarter, something more symbolic. He linked with someone who's the opposite of 50, someone who plays the long, silent game. And that silent game is what made 50 react the way he did. Because even though 50 Cent trolls everybody, this time he didn't troll. He didn't laugh. He didn't make a meme. He didn't drop a joke. His reaction was sharper, shorter, almost coded. It was the kind of response that came from someone who recognized the move for what it really was, a shift in alliances. And here's where it gets deeper, because J. Prince didn't need to say a single word. His presence alone created tension. The relationship he already has with certain rap figures, the history he carries, the level of respect, even people who don't like him have to acknowledge his influence. So when he appears beside someone currently being targeted by a 50 Cent storyline, it feels like a countermove. It feels like someone stepping into the arena. But Jim Jones isn't naive. He knows that linking with J. Prince comes with both perks and risks. You gain power, you gain protection. You gain strategic weight behind your name. But you also inherit whatever quiet battles Prince already has. And whether Jim wants to admit it or not, some of those silent tensions involve 50. And this is exactly why OGs started warning. This could end badly. Because in hip-hop, most beefs aren't really about the public moments. They're about the alliances forming behind closed doors. They're about who stands next to who. They're about who is signaling what. Because a simple picture, it's never just a picture. It's a message. It's an announcement. It's a power move without a caption. And while fans were joking in the comments, real industry players knew something had shifted. They started calling each other, tapping in with insiders, asking, is this real? Is Jim planning something? Is this aimed at 50? Is this just business? Because everyone wanted to know the same thing. What does Jim Jones gain from standing next to J. Prince right now? Some believe Jim is positioning himself for protection, aligning with someone powerful to counter 50's narratives. Others think Jim is sending a warning. I'm not standing alone anymore. And a few believe Jim and Prince have business cooking, real business, and 50's name just happens to be caught in the crossfire. But no matter what angle you choose, they all lead to one conclusion. Jim Jones is making moves with intention. Meanwhile, a 50's camp is watching. Not loudly, not publicly. But they're watching because 50 knows the importance of alliances. He built his career off them. He built G-Unit off them. He's built his media empire off strategic positioning. So when he sees two forces aligning that could potentially double back on him, he won't take that lightly. Not now, not ever. And that's where the energy sits right now, a quiet storm forming. Tension that hasn't exploded yet, but is building underneath the surface. Every new development, every post, every quote, every little detail is being analyzed like a chessboard. Because in moments like this, the real moves aren't made on Instagram. They're made in boardrooms, phone calls, private dinners, quiet meetings where the public never gets to see the real bargaining power. But one thing's for sure. Jim Jones linking with J. Prince wasn't an accident. 50 Cent responding the way he did wasn't an accident. And the OGs saying this might end badly definitely wasn't an accident. This story is just getting warmed up, and the next chapter reveals exactly why both sides are now watching each other with a new kind of attention. Right at the moment when the tension surrounding the Jim Jones and J. Prince link-up reached a level nobody expected. Because while fans were still arguing online and making memes, insiders began noticing something way more serious. People close to 50 Cent started going unusually quiet. And anyone who knows 50 knows one thing for sure: when he goes quiet, it's never because he's confused. It's because he's calculating. And that silent calculation is what made OGs say this situation could spiral out of control if even one wrong move is made. The truth is, 50 Cent understands the art of retaliation better than almost anybody in the entertainment world. He doesn't get emotional. He doesn't make decisions off anger. He makes them off strategy. And that's exactly why he took Jim Jones' moves so seriously. Because behind the jokes, behind the trolling, behind the brand deals and TV shows, 50 still operates with the mentality he learned from his come-up. Watch your rivals. Study their alliances and never underestimate their ability to align with someone more powerful. So when he saw Jim Jones standing next to J. Prince, 50 wasn't looking at the handshake. He wasn't looking at the smiles. He was looking at the symbolism, the message underneath. He saw two people with their own reasons to not like him suddenly standing side by side. That's a shift in the energy. That's a ripple in the pond. That's how rivalries start evolving into full-blown political positioning. But Jim Jones didn't come to this moment out of nowhere. For months now, he's been feeling like 50 Cent has been taking shots at him just for fun. 50 jokes about everything from Jim's personal life to his reputation to old rumors that everyone else has already let die. And as much as Jim tried to ignore it, every time 50 posted something new, it brought old narratives back into the spotlight. Jim kept seeing his name dragged back into conversations that he thought he had outgrown. That eats at a man's pride, especially someone with Jim's history, his battles, his street resume, the reputation he built brick by brick. Jim's been wanting to clap back. But he also understands something very important. Responding to 50 Cent the wrong way can damage your brand, your business relationships, and your future opportunities. Because 50 has an audience that follows his every word. And when he picks a target, the internet amplifies it. Jim didn't want to feed into that. He didn't want to play into 50's hands. So instead of giving 50 entertainment, Jim decided to make a move that wasn't directly aimed at 50, but would definitely get his attention. And that move was J. Prince. But here's where it gets even more layered. Because J. Prince isn't the type who inserts himself into petty drama. If he stands next to someone publicly, it's because he sees value in the alliance. It means business, strategy, or mutual benefit. So for him to stand next to Jim, especially right after 50 clowned him, raised eyebrows across the entire industry. It created a level of conversation that you don't hear often. People started whispering, is J. Prince sending a message? Is he positioning Jim? Is this about respect? Is this about power balance? Shh. Nobody had clear answers, but everyone knew something was happening on a deeper level. Jim Jones didn't act like someone who wanted to smoke. He didn't act like someone gearing up for a beef. He acted like someone who was aligning himself with a veteran power figure, someone who could change the narrative around him. Someone who could silence certain rumors. Someone who could boost his presence in rooms that maybe he wasn't being invited into before. And that's the part most fans missed. This wasn't about fighting 50. This was about repositioning Jim Jones' entire brand. Meanwhile, 50 Cent was sitting back watching the reaction unfold. The blogs lit up. Fan pages posted side-by-side pictures. Comment sections exploded with theories. The entire hip-hop conversation shifted for a moment, focusing on what this new alliance meant. But the one person who didn't overreact was 50. And that's what made the situation 10 times more interesting. Because a loud 50 is predictable. A trolling 50 is normal. But a silent 50? That's dangerous. People close to 50 started leaking small hints. He was watching everything. He was taking notes. He was not surprised. And if you know 50's track record, you know he never lets anyone form a move against him without creating a counter move. He always plays the long game. It's never about today. It's about 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. He waits for the right moment, not the fastest one. On the other side, people close to J. Prince were also paying attention because they know 50 Cent isn't someone who folds under pressure. He doesn't retreat. He doesn't get intimidated. He stands on whatever he says, even if it means facing someone powerful. And that's what made this situation tricky, because now there were multiple powerful personalities circling around each other. Each one stubborn, each one respected, each one capable of making moves that could shift the entire narrative. For the first time in a long time. Fans, insiders, OGs, and bloggers all agreed on one thing. This is a situation that could turn messy if even one person says the wrong thing. And that's why people kept repeating. This could end badly. Not because someone was in danger, but because ego, power, and history don't mix smoothly. The question hanging over the entire situation was simple. What does 50 Cent do next? Because 50 never lets something like this pass quietly. He might be silent now, but he's paying attention. And Jim Jones, he knows 50's silence isn't a good sign. You can clap back at jokes. You can respond to memes. But when a man like 50 stops joking, that means he's taking you seriously. And when 50 takes something seriously, the next move is always unpredictable. This situation isn't finished. It isn't settled. It isn't cooling down, if anything. It's heating up behind the scenes. Exactly. Why insiders think one more move could push this situation into a place. Nobody wants it to go. Begins with the streets still talking, the blogs still buzzing, and insiders quietly analyzing every detail of the Jim Jones and J. Prince link-up. While fans argue online about what it all means, the real story is being written behind the scenes. Because this isn't just another video clip to go viral. This is a situation that involves history, influence, and strategic positioning that has the power to shift the dynamics of the entire industry. People close to the situation say that Jim Jones made this move knowing it would catch attention. He knows 50 Cent is watching. He knows OGs are whispering warnings. He knows the stakes are high. And yet he proceeded. That's how calculated this is. Jim Jones standing next to J. Prince isn't random. It's a signal, a repositioning, a quiet power play that carries weight. And 50 Cent's response, subtle, coded, and pointed, shows that he recognizes it. He isn't overreacting, but he's mentally mapping the situation, assessing every potential outcome and considering every countermove. And that's what makes this situation dangerous. Not violence, not drama, not beef, but strategy. Real industry strategy, the kind that only veterans and OGs understand. Some insiders have suggested that this could lead to a long game, where Jim Jones slowly builds influence in spaces previously controlled by others. Some say 50 Cent could step back, wait for the right moment, and then respond in a way that reminds everyone who really controls the energy. Others argue that the mere perception of alignment between Jim and J. Prince could intimidate other players, forcing certain figures to rethink moves or alliances they were planning. Every gesture, every handshake, every smile is now being analyzed like a chess piece. And while the internet debates, the OGs are warning, be careful. This could end badly. They're not talking about fame or views. They're talking about legacy, influence, and respect. Because in the world of hip-hop, moves like these aren't entertainment. They're signals. They carry consequences. A wrong step can ripple across relationships, contracts, collaborations, and street credibility. For Jim Jones, this is a balancing act. Aligning with J. Prince gives him leverage, but it also brings scrutiny. He has to navigate carefully. One slip, one misinterpreted statement, one leaked video. And 50 Cent or other powerful figures could respond in a way that escalates the situation. And the streets, of course, are watching every move. Every comment, every post, every like is being noticed, dissected, and interpreted. This is why insiders have been so vocal. They understand that power dynamics are shifting and that patience and observation are crucial before making the next move. Meanwhile, 50 Cent remains calm. That's what makes him dangerous. While many might rush to post, tweet, or make statements, 50 Cent waits. He calculates. He lets the other side reveal their strategy first. And history shows that when he does act, it's decisive, impactful, and leaves a mark that everyone remembers. Jim Jones is aware of this, and that's why the tension is real. This isn't about ego anymore. This is about strategy, alliances, and power, and how subtle shifts in relationships can have major consequences. Now, what can fans expect next? There are a few possibilities. 1. 50 Cent could respond publicly in a way that feels casual but carries a deeper warning. 2. Jim Jones might continue building his alignment with influential figures behind the scenes, creating networks that can change the industry's energy. 3. Leaks, rumors, or unexpected developments could surface, further intensifying the conversation. And 4. The OGs may step in privately to mediate or advise, keeping things contained but making sure everyone understands the stakes, no matter what happens. One thing is certain, this story isn't ending soon. It's just beginning. And if history is any indication, the next moves will be deliberate, calculated, and potentially game-changing. Because in this world, reputation, respect, and influence are currency, and everyone involved knows that. So, before we wrap up, here's the reality. This isn't just a moment for clicks or views. This is a masterclass in hip-hop strategy, relationships, and timing. Jim Jones' move, J. Prince's presence, 50 Cent's response. And the OG's warnings all create a perfect storm of tension that has fans talking, insiders analyzing, and the streets on edge. This is drama in its purest form, not manufactured, not for entertainment, but a reflection of real power dynamics at play. And now, here's where you come in. Keep watching. Keep paying attention. The next clip, the next leak, the next handshake could change the story completely. Comment below what you think 50 Cent will do next. Will he escalate? Will he play it cool? Or will Jim Jones' alliance with J. Prince shift everything in the industry? Your opinions matter and the streets are listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because this story is far from over. Every new development will drop right here, and you'll want to be the first to know. Share this video with your friends because the conversation is heating up, and everyone deserves to see how this power play unfolds. Stay tuned, because the next chapter could be bigger than anyone expects. The streets are watching, the OGs are warning, and the game is changing, and you're right here to witness it all. All right, fam, now it's your turn to speak up. The streets are buzzing, the OGs are warning, and the power moves are unfolding right before our eyes. Jim Jones linking with J. Prince, 50 Cent's response. The subtle energy shifts. It's all happening, and you don't want to miss a single moment. But I need to know what you think will happen next. Will 50 Cent escalate? Will Jim Jones continue building his alliances quietly behind the scenes? Or is this the calm before a storm that could shake the industry to its core? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading every single one. And your take could spark the next big discussion. And while you're at it, smash that like button if you want more updates on this story, because trust me, this isn't over. Hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you're the first to see every leak, every reaction, and every behind-the-scenes move. Share this video with your friends, your crew, anyone who's following the drama, because the conversation is only getting hotter. Remember, in the streets and in the game, timing is everything. Stay sharp, stay tuned, and keep your eyes on the moves these legends are making. The next chapter is coming, and it's about to change everything. Don't blink, because you do not want to miss this. Because you do not want to miss this.